Hi, I'm Lance with Ultimate Canine, and today we're going to talk about the heat. So I live in Maryland, but across the United States, it's been really hot this last couple weeks, and it's going to be really hot probably until early mid-September. Here it's been roughly 95 to 100 degrees almost every day, and the humidity's been insane in the upper 80s to the low 90s. It's been really humid and just horrific outside. So some things to consider. Giving your dog cold water or ice cubes is not good. If they're inside and they're a couch potato inside and they're not going outside, yeah, that's fine. But your body has to warm the fluid up to body temperature before it can absorb it. So if you give your dog cold water, it's going to make the dog's body work harder to warm that water up to then be able to absorb it. So that's something to think about, and it can cause cramps, and that's where bloating happens, is through shock to the stomach, too much weight, and all of that stuff. That's a whole different topic to talk about, but you do not want to give your dog cold water on hot days. We like cold water. Our stomachs can handle it. It's not great for them. It does not cool them down any faster, or it doesn't cool you down any faster either. Vehicles. A lot of the newer vehicles have a shut-off after 15 minutes. Some are different than others. I know my Ford Explorer is a 2017, and it will shut off after being parked and running for 15 minutes unless you have a bypass. So people have to be very careful of that, and your vehicle will heat up very rapidly once it shuts down, and that can put your dog in danger. It's best to acclimate your dog in these conditions. So, if you do have a working dog and not just a house pet, it's good to acclimate your dog, have your dog outside, take it for walks. Don't put him in the coldest room of the house when you bring him in. Keep him in somewhere that may be a little bit less air conditioned so the dog doesn't get shocked when they go from inside to outside, because we still need to get our dogs out, take them for walks, and it's best to do that in the early morning or the late evening where there's some shade and there's some rest. Take cool water with you, or not cool water, take room temperature water with you to give to your dog. This is where harnesses become a problem. The more gear you put on your dog, the more heat you're going to trap. And a lot of people, it's like the big thing now is to put the dog booties on the dog. Dogs don't really sweat, but they do somewhat sweat out of their feet, okay? Like if you take a dog into Lowe's where they have that floor on a hot, humid day, you'll see little dog tracks because there is moisture and humidity and what you could call sweat coming out of their feet. That's how they cool themselves, their tongue, and they lose a lot of heat from their feet, and on their underside is where they lose a lot of heat as well. So you don't want to clog that up with a harness or booties. For the love of baby Jesus, don't clog that up, okay? Walk your dog in the shade. Walk him in the grass. You shouldn't have him on the pavement anyway because the pavement is just going to burn their feet. You have to be careful. If you're not going to do it, you shouldn't make your dog do it. If your dog is playing, some dogs have so much drive, which is the want to chase things or play with things, that they'll play until they have a heat issue. You have to manage your dog. And when you do exercise your dog in the heat, hypothetically, let's say you exercise your dog in this heat and it's 7 o'clock at night in the shade, still hot, still 90 degrees, right? So instead of just taking your dog and putting them in a crate or putting them inside your house where it's cool and letting them cool down that way, you need to walk it off. The dog needs to be warmed up before the exercise, and they should be cooled down after the exercise, just like an athlete in sports. That's where problems come in, is when you take a dog that's pretty hot and you take them inside and they get stuffed into a crate, or they get to go lay on the air conditioning vent and try to cool down that way. That's not good for them. It's not good for muscles, joints, tendons, their stomach, and that's what can induce things like bloat. You should cool the dog down slowly, walk them until they're not panting so much, hose down their underside with cold water because their femoral artery runs right on the inside of each hind leg, right up in the armpit of each hind leg, and that's the fastest way to cool a dog down. If you think your dog's too hot, they're probably too hot. And if you can't tell if your dog is too hot, you don't know what that limit is of when to stop, you need to do some research and find that out. Because this is when a lot of dogs have problems. And once a dog gets a heat injury, just like a human, they are super susceptible to heat injuries the rest of their life because it messes up their internal thermostat. And that causes a problem with the dog. So they can go outside when it's 75 degrees, run around a little bit, and have a heat injury after they've had one. And a heat injury is life-threatening. Bloat is very life-threatening, and it can do a lot of stuff. So dogs' average body temperature is from usually 99 to 103 degrees, give or take the research that you read. So they're a little bit different than us. So keep that in consideration. Watch your dog. Groom your dog regularly. Get all that undercoat out, all that stuff that they don't need if they're a shedder, like a German Shepherd. Make sure you get all that stuff out, because also with the heat, hot spots and ear problems are very susceptible, because that heat causes steam, and especially in the ears, if they have earwax buildup, it'll cause a hot spot in their ears, and that's very uncomfortable for them too. You're seeing a lot of vets see a huge increase of that in the summertime when it's really hot. And under collars. If you have a collar on your dog really tight, you're going to see a hot spot end up under there, because plastic, rubber, plastic composite, rubber composite, which a lot of the buckles are made of, don't release heat. So if it's tight, it's going to trap heat, and then the moisture, the humidity in the air is going to cause a hot spot too. So you have to take that stuff off of your dog, have the bare minimum on your dog so their skin can do what it's supposed to, and they can cool themselves down a little bit. And take good care of your dog, because nobody else is gonna. So take care of your buddy, so hopefully they take care of you and you have a companion for life. Appreciate you. Thanks for watching. We'll see you on the next one.